Using queries in Microsoft Access. Queries allow us to ask questions about our data. In this example, we will query our customers table. As you can see, we have information in our table about our customers. We have their names, the companies they work for, their job titles, address, etc. To start our query, we click the Create tab. In the Queries group, we click Query Design. If we had several tables in our database, they would show here. We want to base this query off the customer's table. It's the only one available. So once it's highlighted, we click Add, and then we close this window. Now we decide which fields we want in our database. Let's say that I want a list of customers from Washington State. I'm only going to need the last name, first name, and the state. So I'll highlight last name, left click, and drag it down to here. And I'll do the same with first name and state. So these are the fields that will show in my query. And if I want to start narrowing it down, I can enter my criteria in this row. And let's say I want only customers from Washington State. I can type WA. And Access automatically assumes that I'm looking for text and I'm not doing an operation. We can do mathematical operations in queries as well, but for now I'm just looking for text, so the quotes are around it. And if I have everything set up the way I want it, I go back up here to the results group and I click run. And now I have a query with the first and last name of those customers from Washington. If we know that we will be referring to this query often, we can save it. And once it's saved, whenever any information is changed in the table, the query will update as well. I'm going to click Save, and in query name, I'll type Washington Customers, and OK. And now it shows us as an object over here to my left, the Washington Customers. Let's go back to the Customers table, and let's add a company and an employee. And I won't fill in all the information for now, but I'll put WA in here. I'm going to close the table by clicking the X at the top right here, and I'll double click here to open the query, and as you can see, the new employee is added to the query automatically. Let's look at some other search options. With our query highlighted, we'll click View. We want to click Design View, which is the choice here. There's the Datasheet View, an SQL view, and the design view. We want to look at the design view because we want to go back and modify the query a bit. This time, instead of looking for everyone in Washington, let's say that I want to find all my customers whose last name starts with L. Then I would use a wildcard. Basically, I would type L in the criteria and then an asterisk, which is my wildcard. So an asterisk means anything. So if I type L asterisk, that means anything that starts with L and anything that comes after L. So let's run our query again. We go to Results and click Run. And here are all the people who have a last name that begin with L. Let's say that we want to apply two different conditions. Let's say that I want everyone from Georgia whose name or whose last name starts with L. So I would leave this criteria under last name, and under state province, I'd enter GA for Georgia and hit enter to complete it. Now, whenever I enter information or criteria on the same line, the AND operator in Microsoft Access is assumed, like a Boolean search. So the criteria is starts with L and from Georgia, which will narrow down my criteria. Let's take a look. I'll hit run. And there's only one customer whose last name starts with L and is from Georgia. The AND operation normally returns less data. The OR operation will return more data. Because basically you're saying, give me data that fits this criteria or this criteria. So it can be either or. AND means it would have to fit more than one criteria at a time. In order to tell Access that we want OR instead of AND, we would drop down a line. So instead of having the L and the GA on the same line in your criteria, I'm just going to cut that and paste it here, and notice the word OR here. And we can have several ORs as we drop down, but we'll just do two criteria now. So now we're saying anyone from Georgia, or anyone whose last name starts with L. And let's run it again. And as you can see, we have a lot more. We have some people whose name starts with L who are not from Georgia. And we have some people from Georgia whose name doesn't start with L. This was just a basic overview of how queries work in Microsoft Access. In future lessons, we will look at some intermediate and advanced options for running queries. If you have any questions, give your local IT department a call.